Yo, 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 guys, it's the kid, 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 it's the kid. So, this, of course, is a series that I think a lot of people have been asking for. Actually, no one has really asked for it. I've just decided just to do it. And it's where we pretty much focus on specific clubs and bring the experts of those clubs into the football hut. So, you know what? Do a little bit of a chin wag, a long back and forth discussion into this thing. So we're focusing on Chelsea. So and in this whole thing, we just thought that, based on where the season is, what Chelsea have been doing, new manager coming in, we thought this was really the perfect time just to really go in depth into all things and everything Chelsea. So I don't know how long this topic will be, how long this whole thing will be. I couldn't really give a damn. We're just going to go with the flow and just right because this is 2019, aka 2020. So, Gonzalo Higuain. So, do we all agree that this has been pretty much confirmed that he will finalize the transfer on Friday? So it's all pretty much confirmed. Higuain to Chelsea.
The medical should be sorted out by tomorrow, probably about 12 p.m. So he actually will be available for the Arsenal game, but again, I think we'll be getting ahead of ourselves that we expect him to start. But yeah, it should be finalized by tomorrow.
So let's talk about Higuain. Now, we can all agree that he's definitely an upgrade on the trash that is Morata and the utility man that is Giroud, even though he's a World Cup winner. Fair enough. Now, how much is Higuain going to really change things for Chelsea? Because it's one thing being an upgrade. Take that to one side. We know that Giroud is Giroud. He's a very limited striker. Morata has been horrendous. Let's just focus on Higuain. Forget about it's been an upgrade. How much can Higuain really change things for Chelsea this season pertaining to top 4 Europa League and a potential FA Cup? So I'll start off with your boy Danny T.
Firstly, have hope. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for asking.
Look, man, put that stuff to one side. Let's go get the pleasantries. Are you crazy?
No, just being nice. All right. I think Chelsea's problem, one of Chelsea's problems. I'm sure we'll have time to talk about them all. But clearly, one of Chelsea's problems has been having a person, even just a focal point, a person with which to score goals or who can score goals. I think Higuain's history with Sarri makes this particularly nice. Hopefully.
Okay, wait. Pause. Just let me just quickly interject and then I'll let you carry on.
Okay.
How much can you lean on that record-breaking season that he had with Napoli and how well he fit there? Different players, different characteristics. Is it really fair to lean on what he did under Sarri years ago in a different team with different players?
Put it this way, Higuain's played under Sarri longer than Morata and longer than Giroud. So I think one of the issues that I have with this is like you're bringing in a 6-month loan player and you're just expecting him to hit the ground running. If it was a manager who he didn't know beforehand, I would say this is probably a very horrible decision. But the fact that he did play that well under Sarri in Napoli makes me think maybe this could work. And then, as you say, just the trash that is Morata and Giroud, like they're bricks, if we want to use your terminology. Yeah. So just having those two things I think are important. But I'll throw it to forward.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on. I know no pleasantries, but
what the hell is this, man? Just
but yeah, look, my take on Higuain is, if this was 2014, I would be happy. If this was 2016, I would be ecstatic. But now it's 2019 and he's joining Chelsea Football Club. And don't get me wrong, I am still content with the situation. I'm happy that he is on a 6-month loan. And obviously he's got the experience of Sarri. And ultimately, I think it's a good deal for Chelsea, the fact that we're getting somebody who generally is a proven goal scorer. Done it in obviously multiple leagues now. And yeah, even though he hasn't got the best goal record with AC Milan, again, with all due respect to his AC Milan, so they're not really the greatest team in terms of creating chances now. With Chelsea, with Hazard, obviously what we're doing and the chances that we've been creating, I feel like there's a good chance that he can obviously help us to obviously push for our targets this season, which is trying to get into the top 4 and also winning the Europa League. So I'm happy with the signing in that aspect. Again, this isn't a long-term solution, but compared to what we've obviously been dealing with the likes of Morata and Giroud, again, it's the best of making lemonade out of lemon. So again, I'm happy with the situation as it is now.
So let's talk tactically. And wait, okay, I didn't crack a joke. What the hell?
No. I want to say, like, we do the Talking Tactics podcast, and then you said let's talk.
I knew it's okay. I was hoping that you wouldn't take the flipping baits, man.
It's a pun. It was
I know. Yes, I know. I know it was a bloody pun, bro. I know. Sorry. So talking strategically, okay. How do Chelsea approach having Higuain there? Because I think that, let's look at Higuain on his best day. Higuain, we know that is a guy who, when the pressure gets tight, he flops. He can't do it on the big stage, and he's got a weak mentality. But he is a proficient finisher. He's pretty good on the ball. He can create his own shot as well. So is this a case of where it crosses into the box? It's much more short passes, much more intricate. What kind of approach is it? Because again, the approach is really dependent on the personnel. Is it a case of Hazard left, Hudson-Odoi right, Higuain in the middle? Do you roll with Higuain, Hazard, and maybe Pedro on one side? So what do you think would be the right approach to get the best out of Gonzalo? I'll go forward.
I think the best approach isn't too much different from what we're doing right now. Ultimately, we are still playing essentially a system with a striker up front. Hazard isn't playing as a false nine. I've just actually come back from watching the Barcelona game today, and I saw Lionel Messi playing an actual false nine position. And obviously, you saw the interchanging of positions with the inside forwards in Coutinho and Dembele. Now, again, with how Chelsea have been playing it in recent weeks, Hazard's been essentially making runs in behind, kind of focusing as a target man. And when we get control possession in the opponent's half, then maybe he'll drop a bit deeper and try to create spaces, trying to be his creative self and obviously create chances for others. But with Higuain in our team, again, we don't need to change too much. Obviously, someone who's going to be able to play on the last line and finish chances, and that's kind of what we needed most now. Again,
but do you think he'll be able to combine well with Hazard, be on the same footballing wavelength? Because that is key.
That is true, and again, as an actual footballer, he's technically proficient enough. I think he's still
Higuain.
Yes, I think he's still okay. He's not obviously going to be, let's say, as flowy as a striker. Let's say maybe Anthony Martial would, but again, we're having to deal with the situation that we have, and I think he's still good enough to maybe combine at times with Hazard. And obviously, the most important thing is to put the ball in the back of the net.
I think he can do very well.
Yes, and he's got very good movement in the box, and he's very good at making spaces. Obviously, creating space for himself and also for others. So again, I've seen no reason why this wouldn't be. Again, why he wouldn't work in this way that we're playing currently. In the current system that we're playing, I think he can still get goals and obviously benefit the team.
Danny T. Yeah, I echo those sentiments. Also, I'd like to add that Willian and Pedro to a lesser extent, more so Willian, hasn't been having the greatest season, but with the struggles that Chelsea are having, Sarri's being kind of forced, or is, I don't know if he's maybe forcing the club's hand a bit, just saying I don't have a striker, so then just let me play Hazard as a false nine. But I think a lot of people are kind of overestimating or just kind of bigging up something in terms of that false nine that's not exactly accurate. I'm seeing a lot of people saying the false nine works. For me, watching it,
no, chill. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, I would just say, like, as Forward pointed out, like when you watch an actual false nine player play in that position and then you compare it to Hazard, it doesn't exactly work. So if we can move Hazard back to the left wing, remove Willian, place in a striker, and then you either have Pedro on that wing, Hudson-Odoi, hopefully, if Sarri wants him to sign a contract, and then Willian as your like tertiary option. Maybe he could be that. Maybe then he could revert to being a backup for Hazard in cup games or whatnot. I think that would add something different to the squad that's very much needed. And then also, as you guys pointed out, he's a finisher. I mean, obviously we know the flops in like World Cups and Copa Americas and all this kind of stuff, but generally speaking, in the league, he's going to get you goals, at least at a higher clip than Morata or Giroud.
No, it's okay. So just before we leave the whole Higuain thing, again, this is 2019. I need an answer, and I don't need it to waffle or any maybes. I don't sit on the bloody fence here. How well is Higuain going to do if he does join? Really well, pretty well, or average, or a complete flop?
I think if there's maybe 18 games left in this season, somewhere around there, I'm expecting him to score around 8 or 10 goals. And if Morata or Giroud played those games, I'd probably expect 3 or 4.
Jesus.
So I think he's going to be 100% more than what Chelsea already have, and that should be enough to keep them in the 4th spot. Obviously, it would be nice to have him against Arsenal and peg them back, but I think that Sarri's probably going to end up playing false 9 on the weekend. But I think Higuain will be a benefit to the team.
Forward quickly. So, how well do you think Higuain will do?
Yeah, given the amount of chances we've been creating largely for this season, I see no reason why he can't score maybe between 8 and 10 goals for the rest of the season in the league at least. So, yeah, I see him doing very well.
Oh, okay, cool. Very diplomatic answer. Hudson-Odoi. Now, the transfer saga still is continuing. So the latest that I read today was that he rejected the Chelsea contract offer. Chelsea have rejected the 35 mil from Bayern Munich, but ESPN are saying that they are still in negotiations with Chelsea. So, my thing is this. I think Ford, you might need to fix your mic because I think I'm hearing a bit of rustling from your mic. Whoa, okay. So basically, my thing is this is that with regards to Hudson-Odoi, let's just start first with this. Let's say you're Hudson-Odoi's agent. What do you think he should do in this situation? Because I don't think it's that difficult a situation, but maybe somebody wants to play devil's advocate. Do you still say that, okay, Higuain is coming in, they've seen how valuable I am, maybe there is a chance of me staying and me having a future here, or are you know what, they're going to give me the number 10 jersey, they're rolling out the red carpet for me, they're doing everything in their power to want me. So if you're Hudson-Odoi's agents, what do you push him towards doing?
Personally, I would send him to, or I would try to steer him more into the Bayern Munich situation, just because I feel like Bayern Munich are probably a better place for him to develop overall. If you're looking at it from a Chelsea point of view, though, maybe in the back of his mind, they're just using the Bayern Munich situation to just get a better contract from Chelsea. I saw a tweet earlier today that Chelsea have offered him a deal that would make him one of the highest paid teenagers in Europe. So maybe if they're just using that as a tool to like up the deal that Chelsea are offering, that could be something. But I definitely think I saw reports that he's asked Rudiger what it's like in Germany. Obviously, I think he's good friends with Jadon Sancho. So obviously they're going to be having conversations about German football in the Bundesliga. I just think it makes sense in his mind anyway. If they're going to give me the number 10, we know Ribéry's gone. We know Robin's gone. I can probably compete with Gnabry. If Coleman gets another ankle injury, he says he's going to retire or whatever the case may be. So they're a bit light, especially looking forward into the next 1 or 2 years. With Chelsea, you don't know what's going to happen. Pedro has a contract. Willian has a contract. Hazard, they bought Pulisic. Like, you don't know. And if you want to play football for the next year or two, Bayern is probably the best bet, especially if they're offering the package that reports are saying. So if I was the agent, I'd steer him that way.
Forward.
Just come from a different aspect. I know people are saying that, oh, yes, Bayern Munich, and don't get me wrong, Bayern Munich are a better club. They're a bigger club and a much better run club at the moment, right?
Yep.
But at the same time, looking at people saying that he may get a better run of games going for Bayern because they're willing to pay the 30 million for him. But at the same time, maybe even rising up to 40 million. But at the same time, you're looking at your options of who you're going to be competing against. At Bayern Munich, it's Coleman, it's Ribéry, it's Muller potentially going that wing, it's James Rodriguez.
Forward, easy. You realize that Ribéry turns 62 next week. You realize that?
I mean, I thought it was 72 in your last video, but yeah, regardless, he still plays for them on a week-to-week basis.
He's going to be gone, though. Like, I think it's been all but announced that Robin's definitely leaving, and Ribéry as well. Ribéry's 36. In actuality, obviously, you guys are giving fake numbers, but it is what it is, like fake news.
No. He's definitely at least in his mid-30s or something. So basically, for me, my thing is that Chelsea have shown that they're only using me based off Bayern's interest. Bayern Munich have actually come out and Salihamidzic has come out and said, we want you, we like you, we actually enjoy we can see how good you are. Have Chelsea ever come out and really shown how much they appreciate Hudson-Odoi? All the stuff that Sarri has been saying and everything of what we really want to keep you has only been in response to Bayern Munich. So all those months when I saw you tweet or saw you guys tweeting saying, "Man, playing Hudson-Odoi," nothing was said. Nothing was doing. He was still warming the bench. So if you're Hudson-Odoi, the real love is coming from those dudes in Germany. Chelsea haven't shown you any real love. The love they're showing you now is fake love because it's only reactionary. So it's like, I mean, is there? I still do not understand. I still do not see the strong arguments for him to stay because. And my thing is this, and I'll probably throw it back to you guys. See, with Higuain coming in, it makes things very interesting because Hudson-Odoi is a guy who can cross the ball well and is a far more decisive, precision-based wide man than I think both Willian and Pedro. Because Willian and Pedro are more like, okay, hold on the ball, but Pedro ends crossing the ball. I don't think I've ever seen Pedro run down the wing and cross the ball in my life. So that doesn't happen. Willian it depends what Willian you're going to get. So if you're in Higuain, who is a very good fox in the box, Hudson-Odoi being in this team and playing this team actually benefits him more. How do you guys view that?
Forward?
No, I mean, definitely the introduction of Higuain will obviously benefit Hudson-Odoi, obviously having a striker who we can depend on to score goals. And I'm even looking forward to the Tottenham game, especially because I feel like that's when Higuain will start. Hudson-Odoi will also be able to start in that second leg as well. So I'm interested in looking at that. But again, just from the Hudson-Odoi point of view, again, when I look at maybe his what competition he could be facing to play, I feel like just at Chelsea, again, in his own heart, I'm pretty sure where he would rather be a star, he would rather be a star at the club that he was born and bred in. And he'd rather try and, let's say, emulate what Hazard's been able to do for Chelsea. Now, again, if those options aren't made available to him, then he definitely should be looking to leave. But again, I feel like just given obviously the talks are coming out of the club, obviously with a 70,000 a week contract on the table, I feel like if he's able to take that and obviously he's able to get the reassurances that he will be getting a game time that he needs and a player of this caliber deserves, then I feel like he should give Chelsea another chance. So.
Okay, what does someone's word mean? Okay, we live with human beings. Human beings lie. Okay, as my guy Machiavelli said, man is fickle by nature. So, someone saying to you that, I assure you that I will play you. What the hell does that mean? Unless it's written in blood and contract, what does that mean?
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Like, as long as he's not playing games or if his number of games is like in single digits, which I think it is so far this season.
Yeah.
Like, why would I commit to you guys? And I think that's why you're seeing him get a little bit more minutes since the Bayern interest. Why Sarri's mentioning him as, I think he's ready now, and these kind of conversations in post-match press conferences and pre-match press conferences, because I think Chelsea kind of do understand that they're under pressure in that sense. The player's good, he's wanted, but we're not doing our part essentially in trying to keep him.
But let me even bring it. So let's just go back to the season, and when we looked at Hudson-Odoi in preseason and looked at how well he played. Can you try and enter into Sarri's mind? Like I think the name of the film was Inner Space, where this guy entered inside someone's brain. Let's just try and imagine that we entered like his spaceship and we actually insert ourselves into like Sarri's brain. What was his reasoning for keeping faith with Pedro and Willian and not even looking at Hudson-Odoi? What do you think the logic was there?
It's club politics, and this is a problem I've always had with Chelsea in particular. It's if you have an 18-year-old or a 17-year-old, I guess at that point in preseason, who are you more willing to upset if you're a manager? Who's going to cause you more problems? A 17-year-old or a 31-year-old Pedro or Willian who have friends in the team, who are established in the team, who you probably would assume that, these are grown men. They're going to understand my idea of football more than this 17-year-old kid. Like, for Sarri, politically, it makes more sense to play the older guys than it does to risk, just a left spot or a right wing spot on a kid, essentially. So
even if that player is going to make your team better and perhaps give you a better chance to win the game, club politics still win?
I think so, especially at Chelsea. Maybe not at some place like Manchester United or someplace like that, but At Chelsea, like there's a quick trigger. If I put this 17-year-old kid out there and he flops, and I have Pedro, I have Willian, people are gonna say, "Oh, why didn't you play the more experienced person?" And who knows how long you could last. I just think it always boils down to what makes more sense politically at Chelsea more times than not.
All right, forward.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with what Danny said, and again, that's the problem that we have at our club. Of course, with the stigma of managers not getting enough time to implement their systems, and obviously with the Abramovich generally pulling the trigger really quickly in terms of sacking them, then they almost feel like they have a duty to themselves to only look after themselves rather than the best interests of the club maybe in the future, because they're only looking for what's important now in terms of obviously how they're going to be able to cope over their 2 or 3 year contracts. So again, it's frustrating for fans like myself. We want to see players like obviously Hudson-Odoi play more often. Obviously, players like even Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Ampadu and whatnot. So again, it's difficult for us watching because we know that players like Hudson-Odoi, he offers so much more on the wing than let's say a Willian or a Pedro. At certain spaces, obviously, especially when Willian's not playing in his preferred position on the left. So it's frustrating, but it's a situation that we've gotten to now. And again, I wouldn't be surprised again if we're going to see Willian and Pedro, who haven't been in the best form, continue to play for the rest of the season.
This is why I think. Oh, a little bit of echo. This is why I think Higuain maybe isn't, as you guys kind of suggested, that Higuain coming might be good for Hudson-Odoi. I don't think it is. I think with Hazard playing in the false 9, Sarri wants to play Willian on one side, Pedro on the other, which makes Hudson-Odoi the next in line, the fourth winger essentially. Once you put in Higuain and that false 9's gone, Hazard has to play on the left. So then there's 3 people for one spot on the right instead of 2.
Yeah.
So it's gonna go even further in his mind that wait a minute here, like Hazard's not gonna be on the left, or Hazard's gonna be on the left now. So then where do I fit in? You know? And I think, do you guys read the Bible?
Not too often, but I do know the broad strokes.
All right. So Jesus was born in Nazareth, right? And once he got into his ministry, he went back to Nazareth, and instead of people kind of embracing him as like some miracle worker and somebody who could do good things for the community, they were just like, you a carpenter, you're Joseph's son. Like, who is this trying to come here and save us? Like, who are you? Like, we know you. We've seen you from like a young kid, you know? And Jesus basically said like a prophet can do no great works in his hometown because people there don't appreciate you in the same way that people from the outside might. It's basically my little parable there. I think Hudson-Odoi might suffer from the same thing. It's just like people are just youth academy products at Chelsea in general. It's the best youth academy. I don't know if you guys have another opinion. It's the best youth academy in Europe. They've won hella FA Youth Cups, the UEFA Youth League. Like, the program is good. It's just that they aren't appreciated because it's the youth academy where Chelsea, we can spend 50 million on Pulisic, who in my mind isn't that much better than Hudson-Odoi, if he is even better.
I mean, is he better than... Okay, fair enough. Hudson-Odoi isn't really battle-proven or battle-ready, but I can't fully come out and just say as a blank statement that Pulisic is a better player than Hudson-Odoi.
But he's foreign. He's foreign. He's from America. He's going to get you money in that sense.
Merchandising.
But like Hudson-Odoi isn't being appreciated because he's from the club. And that's the biggest problem at Chelsea is why does Ruben Loftus-Cheek, how come he has like 100 less appearances or 50 less appearances than Dele Alli? Like, he's not appreciated at Chelsea. Like, and this is the problem that I have. Like, players who are good that other teams want. Like, it's just like, let's just go spend 30, 40, 50 billion on somebody when instead of nurturing the talent that's at home. I just think you can't win.
No, but I think it's because, again, as I said, like, it's a philosophy that doesn't really make any sense because, first of all, it's cheaper to nurture and to incorporate these youth players, and also it just makes your club appear better, you know. So
yeah, and it's not like we're saying play the bad ones, you know what I mean? It's not like play like the 5th worst youth academy player like Hudson-Odoi. There's a reason Bayern are after him. There's a reason Barcelona I've seen are interested, like Juventus I think I've seen as well. If those teams want you and you can't find a spot, what does that say about you? Or if those teams want him and you don't play him, what does it say about you?
Sorry, I just had... Sorry, lose my mic as well. Okay, so wait, I want to move on to the Sarri system now. Now, this is something that I think we can definitely dissect and go into quite a bit of detail right now, because for me, I feel that the false nine for me completely doesn't work, and I think Dan, you touched on this like earlier on. I feel that there are only two teams in history that can play the false nine. That's Barcelona team during the Xavi Iniesta era, and the Spain era team from 2008 to 2012, because you need guys who are extremely good at passing. Nobody in the Chelsea team is anywhere near the kind of passing ability of Xavi, peak Iniesta, Xabi Alonso, David Silva, or Messi. No one is. So
they had one, but they just sold it to Monaco. But go ahead.
Oh, there you go. yeah, him. So if you don't have guys who are incredibly high IQ passers of the ball, false nine shouldn't even be a consideration, at all. And also, we'll probably get to this again. It puts too much responsibility on Hazard. I think Hazard is something that I want to even touch upon afterwards. So, where do you guys stand on the Sarri system? Do you think that it needs to be tweaked? It is good. Is it too? Because for me, I feel that it is good. It is interesting and it's good to look at as well. And again, I want to also touch on Jorginho afterwards. But I just feel that the system does need tweaking, because this isn't the Serie A, this is the Premier League. And I think that when you're moving into a new league with different players, you do need to try and chop and change. And there are times where, my God, man, someone take a shot. Someone try a through ball. Someone just try a forward pass. And the obsession to just keep that ball moving with another pass again and again and again, especially with guys who sit in deep defensively, it can be quite annoying to look at. So I'll give it to Ford, man. Where do you stand on Sarri's system? Does it need to change? Is it fine? Is it a case of people just need time to really learn it and really be one with it? Where do you stand with the Sarri system?
Yes, first things first, I think it's always good to appreciate where we were and where we've come to. Obviously this time last season, the football under Kante was, just to put it in one word, it was dreadful. I think there was a game probably this time last year, maybe in like March, where we went to Man City and we literally walked around for 90 minutes and let them absolutely destroy us 1-0. It was probably the most embarrassing 1-0 I've ever seen in my life. Now, fast forward to now, again, we are actually looking to play football like a club our size should be looking to play. Obviously, our progression through the back to a forward line is very impressive. I would say our build-up play from the first transition in terms of from like the goal kicks, I say all the way how we move it up to the field, that the final third is very impressive. And I think one of the best examples of that was when we played Arsenal earlier in the season. That first game when there was a move between Jorginho, Alonso, and Pedro for that opening goal. That was a sensational goal, and it was an amazing build-up. And that slowed down a little bit, yes, because teams have started to figure us out and how we play. But it also goes down to obviously Sarri and his stubbornness. And I think this is a really important point, because after he was obviously famed for getting Napoli to a second place of maybe using only 15, 16 players. But again, this is the Premier League where you have a lot of games obviously in the winter period. There's obviously the fourth competition, which is the League Cup. And I thought that was going to be in the Europa League where you have to play maybe like 72 games before you actually get to the final. So the thing for me is he needs to stop being so, let's say, stubborn and so trustworthy in certain players who haven't obviously been living up to the standards that he's been expecting from them, because it's clear to see for all of us that Alonso has not been playing up to the standard that we need for a club of our size. Obviously, the likes of Pedro has not been quite at the level that maybe we would want from a starting player. Obviously, Williams only got 2 goals in 17 games. So from my aspect, again, things need to be freshened up. I know it's terrible. And I think that those are 2 amazing goals and 2 amazing moments, but over 90 minutes.
Wait. 2 Gs in 17 games?
Yeah, it's that bad.
do you know what though? We need to start doing goals per minute and not goals per game. Because how many minutes did he play in those 17? I'm sure he started most of them, so it's closer to 90 than it isn't. But I feel like as football people, we need to start being like, instead of 2 goals in 19 games or whatever it is, it should be like 2 goals in 1,000 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I understand that, but a lot of those games he was playing and he wasn't affecting it. Now, again, I'm not one of those fans who just want to blame everything on Willian. I do understand that part of it is because he's not playing in his natural position. And again, we saw him on the left wing the other weekend, and even though it wasn't a stellar performance, he's able to produce that one moment of magic where he can cut on his right foot and then
too inconsistent. But
exactly, way too inconsistent.
Yeah, but like, look, like now that Higuain's in the squad, we assume Hazard goes to the left. Willian's out of his best position if he does play on the right now, so he's going back to just helping Azpilicueta patrol the right flank.
Yeah, drop the same drop off the shoulder to put the ball in. Nah.
Yeah, so got to play Pedro, I think, in that sense. But sorry to cut you forward.
Oh no, 100%. I mean, and that also talks to one other thing that I just want to end on with is our fullbacks. Again, having just watched Barcelona, and I think I've watched them maybe up to like 6 or 7 times this season. Again, their fullbacks, the way that they come into the play, the way that they overlap the wingers, and they give them so many options to go 1v1 at their rival fullback. Again, it just transforms your way of playing, and it's something that we need in our team desperately. And our fullbacks, yes, as amazing as Azpilicueta is defensively at times, and I thought that Alonso is just very good in the air, and he's very good at just being a kind of like a false winger where he just stays in the box and is able to score goals, although he hasn't done recently. They're offensively, they don't offer anything in the build-up play. They're very static players, and they're not able to beat a man, they're not able to overlap or whipping crosses that are consistent. So, again, there's a lot of things that need to be... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, would you substitute Azpilicueta and Alonso with Emerson and Zappacosta as the starting fullbacks for Chelsea?
Zappacosta in that great, bro. You see Emerson, yes. Emerson.
I'm just saying, would you put the backups in as the starters if you were a manager or had some form of power at Chelsea Football Club?
I mean, no. Do you know what's basically? Again, we have to get to the defense as well. You can't, as Azpilicueta can't hold the bench. That's the best defender at the club. Just as far as pure defender, Azpilicueta is the best defender at the club. So he has to be on that pitch.
Oh, let me just answer the question. I mean, I do actually agree with you. I'm not the biggest fan of Zappacosta. He is better than Azpilicueta going forward. He's very direct, but at the same time, he's not. I feel like for the balance of the team, I don't mind having Azpilicueta there because he's obviously very defensively sure. But at the same time, that means we need somebody on that left-hand side who's able to dominate that left-hand side of the pitch and help Hazard on the overlap and even with runs into the box again. And that's what Emerson can bring in the time that we've seen him. Obviously, he's very limited. And again, maybe we need to bring in somebody else who can displace Alonso because clearly Emerson's not been able to do that in now obviously a year in the club. So again, I would start. How many
left backs Chelsea have gone through? Like since
Baba Rahman,
since Ashley Cole, there's been Ryan Bertrand, Felipe Luiz, Azpilicueta played there for a while, Baba Rahman, then Alonso, then Emerson. So like you're wanting like the 7th person. Like shout out Ashley Cole one time for just being a legend and one of the greatest left backs ever.
No. Ashley Cole might be the greatest left back of all time. Like there's a strong argument.
There's an argument for it.
You know, I mean, but so let me bring it to you, Danny. Then, like, Sarri. So forward, just very briefly. So, are you happy with the Sarri system, and it's just a case of players that needed to come in, or he does need to tweak the system to make it much more incisive?
You know, I'm a perfectionist. I think Sarri's also a perfectionist, and it can always be better. But yeah, I'm happy so far, but can always definitely be better. And he needs to be a little bit less stubborn with the players he's choosing to implement in his system, and he can just be a little bit more proactive in terms of what changes he's going to make, not just during the game, but also on the training pitch as well.
All right. So where do you stand on the system, Mr.
I kind of echo. I kind of echo forward points in that. I think the transition from Kante to Sarri was obviously going to be a bit difficult. The football we were playing last year, I say we. I'm trying to stop saying we. The football Chelsea was playing last season was dreadful. It was agonizing. It was suffer-ball instead of sorry-ball, as people say. And I always thought that the transition playing better football in air quotes rather than Kante's football was always going to take a little bit. I think it's hard to judge sorry-ball, as it were, when you have Morata and Giroud as the people who are trying to get you goals. Like, if the function of the team is to feed the striker and the striker doesn't want to eat, he's on hunger strike. How can I exactly judge it without seeing it as it should be? As Forward says, he's made mistakes, I think, in being a little bit too loyal to certain players. You can point to Alonso, you can point to Willian. Okay. Maybe even Jorginho to a point. He's been a bit too loyal in that sense, especially when you see what Fabregas was able to do. But I definitely feel like with the addition, allegedly, of Higuain, we'll get a better glimpse of what sarri-ball actually is. And then from there, we can judge whether or not he's on the right path. But if you say, we give you Morata, we give you Giroud, I'm not going to judge him too tough.
Oh, no. I think the fact of the matter is that the chances have been there. And as you said, the meal has been put on the table, but for some reason, these guys don't want to eat. Maybe they are slimming or going on a diet or something, but the strikers are refusing to put the meal on the table because Hazard and people have created opportunities and chances. So I do think that's right. So right now, when you now have a guy who can finish, forget about his level of finishing, he can finish on of a higher level than both Morata and Giroud. This is where you can then say, aha, how good and effective can the system truly be? Right. So I want to move to Jorginho. Now, Jorginho was obviously a guy that Homeboy brought in from Napoli, and he's obviously a key guy to this system. You see, with Jorginho, I get what his role is. I get what he's supposed to be doing. I don't think he's playing his role completely well. Am I wrong in saying that moving the ball around and keeping possession isn't enough for a deep lying playmaker? Am I wrong in saying that I need you to do more than just keep the ball and keep the tempo of the game in a team where you know that guys can pretty much keep the ball pretty well? So should he be doing more, and has Jorginho lived up to the kind of standard that you expected of him in the role in the team? I'll go with Danny.
Oh, I thought you said forward. Sorry. Yeah. Do you know what? I'll have to be honest. I didn't watch that much of Napoli last season. I watched the Champions League games, obviously, but nothing in like Serie A. So I didn't have a real sense of what Jorginho was or who he was. And in the first few games, I understood what was happening. And I've gotten to kind of appreciate what Sarri wants him to do and the role he's trying to do. I think when you're trying to change a philosophy or implement a philosophy into a football club, you need specific players to help you do that. And I think Jorginho, knowing where the ball should go, knowing when the press should start, knowing where people should be, just being the brain of Sarri on the pitch is slightly important. I do think his passing is a little bit simplistic for like all the love that he gets. Sarri was saying that he needs a replacement for Jorginho now that Fabregas is gone. And I've seen people like, why don't we bring Mikel back?
Oh, what?
And I was saying, like, for people to have that idea that Mikel could just basically do what Jorginho does, basically pass forward, backwards, sideways, and just pass it to another blue shirt. I felt that was kind of interesting. Although I do think Mikel kind of lacks you know what? I'll leave that point. I don't want to go too hard on Mikel, but because I like him, I don't want to insult him over these airwaves. I'll leave that to have hope. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting that Mikel is being seen as some sort of Jorginho replacement or Fabregas replacement, which is wild. But yeah, I think again, we need time. I don't know necessarily if Jorginho's having the best season. I don't know if he's having a great season. It's interesting to watch him, but I don't necessarily know how to judge him.
Okay. All right, forward.
So I've seen obviously your recent criticisms of him in general, how he's been able to perform. And it looks more like you're kind of assessing him on like an offensive basis, what he's actually doing and actually what he's providing for the team now. Again, I look at another register in obviously Europe's top 5 league. I look at Busquets. He's not got any assists, or maybe I think one assist playing in a team of Lionel Messi now. And I see a lot of people saying that, why isn't Jorginho getting many assists or creating many chances? That's not his role in the team now. Again, I think it goes about saying he's obviously done a very good job in terms of just build-up play from the back. And obviously now teams are pressing onto us a little bit less, and they've understood that. It's now for Jorginho to go take his game to the next level and actually provide things for us going forward when we're actually camped in other team's half. Now, that being said, that's what I've not been the most impressed with him. Yes, he's providing some good forward passes at times, but he's not really had that. He's not really been on the same wavelength as like Eden Hazard with his movement in behind, like he was with let's say a Callejon or even a Mertens or an Insigne at Napoli. I feel like he hasn't really got to that wavelength yet, and I'm a little bit surprised that it's taken this long, or I hasn't really found that yet, because I haven't really remembered too many times where he's able to find that ball over the top to an Eden Hazard. But yeah, again, I've been generally okay with how he's been doing so far, but certainly he can improve, especially in our offensive, especially that offensive phase. But again, I think as Danny T obviously said, it's important just to give these players time. Maybe when more players come into the system who are better suited to the system, i.e. the fullbacks, and maybe we'll see the best of Jorginho in that aspect.
So let's link into Jorginho, because this is a nice segue to Jorginho. Now, I made this suggestion, and a lot of people were like, David Luiz.
Oh, no.
Is there anything wrong with David Luiz playing the Jorginho role? Now, before you say anything, I feel that we need to be honest and have an honest appraisal of David Luiz. David Luiz has never been a great defender.
Oh, my.
Never has been. Look, man, it's 2019. It's the time to be real. David Luiz has never, ever been a great defender. He was never a world-class defender, and he will never be a world-class defender. At best, David Luiz can put in a very good defensive performance at best, but you'll never have a season where, man, David Luiz is amongst the top 5, top 6, top 7 defenders in the world. That will never happen because he's just not, in and of itself, a good defender. David Luiz is a very good football player. He's a very, very good football player, very good on the ball. And as we've seen, he is an excellent passer of the ball as well. So if you now put him in the DM role, he already understands the basic defensive positioning, tackling, covering guys. Plus, he's a good passer of the ball. Plus, he can carry with the ball, and he's better at the pass over the top than Jorginho is. Isn't there a strong argument for David Luiz to be the deep line playmaker? Let me go to forward.
No, there isn't. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand why you said it, and I do understand the picture that's going on in your head, but I think first and foremost, we need to also respect David Luiz defensively. So I'm not saying he's the most amazing defensive player. I think there's two main reasons why people are just saying that have the stigma in their head that, oh, he's not a great defender.
It's not a stigma. It's a fact. It's not a stigma, it's a fact. Okay, Karen.
Again, I feel like the people kind of get stuck into the head that his tackling technique, I think first and foremost, the way he always tries to be aggressive and dives in. And I think a good person to kind of liken him to in that aspect is Sergio Ramos. And I think secondly, I thought the fact that when he does have a bad game and his head kind of goes, he does have a very, very bad game where you'll see like what happened with the Tottenham game where we lost 3-1, or the infamous game in Brazil in the semi-final, which I don't think anything else needs to be said about that. So, yeah, but having said all of that, David Luiz is our best centre-back at the club right now. And
Whoa.
Let me land. Thank you. Look, Rudiger is great to an extent, yes, but he's not very good defensively 1v1. I feel when he's exposed and when he's not actually in position and he's left to actually do some defending actually by himself, he's very suspect. And I've seen him have he's actually very David Luiz-esque in a sense, just obviously a very younger version and a little bit quicker, but again, David Luiz is very experienced. He's a leader of their backline. And again, to actually answer your question as to why you shouldn't play DM, it's a specialist position. You can't just expect someone at 30, 32, 33 years old to go and just slot to DM and all of a sudden be able to do it just because he's able to play a few Hollywood balls. Yes, David Luiz is amazing at playing that long ball over the top, but he's also amazing at doing it when there's no pressure on him, which happens when you're at centre-back. At DM, when you need to have kind of like the wind mirrors, side mirrors on, and you need to see what's on your periphery on both sides, that's where you need a specialist like a Jorginho, like a Busquets, who's actually able to play that position and is used to that pressure being on you and also being able to play out from the back. So again, for David Luiz to play that position at the age of 33, I don't think that's really a good idea, especially where we are at the system. And again, just to also end on this, Sarri brought in Jorginho to play this role. He brought him in as his man to do it. To then go into a 33-year-old to then go and jump into that system halfway through the season, that doesn't make any sense. So I don't think it's good for the progression of the team. I think it may be good in a certain little aspects, but for the entire progression of the team as a whole in terms of trying to get more accustomed to sarri-ball, that just isn't it, Chief.
But before I go to Nancy, all I'm saying is that he brought him in to play this role and he has not played the role to a high enough standard. Danny T.
No, while you guys were discussing, I was looking something up. In 2012-13, when Benitez came in, he tried Luiz at DM. And then the next season, when Mourinho took over, he played, this thing's telling me, 20 games at DM under Mourinho. So that experiment has been tried. From memory, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't revolutionary or revelatory in any
on
kind
the
of way.
different systems, not this system that we're in with Sarri, which is possession based.
I'm kind of agreeing with you, and I'm kind of not. I think Luiz could play there. But as forward says, I think there's a different challenge of trying to play those balls from midfield rather than in central defense. I think the ball he played to Pedro against Newcastle, I don't know if he necessarily has the time or space to play that exact pass to Pedro from a DM, even if the idea was in his brain. I don't know if he's able to execute it. but you move him back a little bit, and he has a little bit more room. He can survey the field, and boom, there it is. So the experiment has happened before. I don't think it would be that. It would be interesting to see, but I don't know if
that's what I ask. Just as an experiment in this system. That's what
but look. If Sarri puts David Luiz as the regista, as a deep line playmaker, or whatever you want to call it, isn't that giving up on his system in a way? If Jorginho is the player that he brought to change the way Chelsea play, if you drop Jorginho, that's in a way admitting defeat, that my first idea hasn't worked and I need to try something else. And I don't know if Sarri seems open-minded to a point, but generally stubborn. So he's never going to do that. Not with Jorginho anyway. Because I you know what? Taking that idea, maybe you could play Jorginho where Kovacic plays and then put David Luiz in the DM. But to me, that just feels like too much change from what Sarri's tried to implement already.
Yeah.
And I think that would be going back on work that you've already started and kind of putting you, if you're at square 5, that would be putting you back at square 2 or 3. And I don't think that's necessarily smart, especially after what we say, when you don't have that much time if you're Chelsea manager to, get up to speed and get results.
All right. So I want to bring in Kante now.
Go.
So look, man, first of all, let's just say that Kante is one of the most versatile players on the planet. I think that the guy can be an alien if you ask him to be. If you give him enough prep time, Kante could become an alien for you. So how are you happy with Kante being taken out of his strongest role into a role that requires him to be much more in the final third and be much more involved in the play? Or are you just fine with the versatility? Because versatility is a very dangerous thing, because again, if someone is versatile, you're like, my gosh, he can play here, he can play everywhere. But would you rather have a guy play in his second, third best position where he can still do pretty good, or play in his best position where you know that you're guaranteed that this guy will be amazing? Because we don't know that Kante can't work well. Kante's DM role doesn't work for Sarri's system, but you've got one of the best DMs in the world. And let's just be real, as versatile as Kante is, he isn't really fully naturally comfortable playing this much more freed out role. So are you happy with the role that Kante is given under Sarri, or do you think that find a way to get him back being the best DM in the world?
Okay, so I know you're not supposed to answer a question with a question, but if I can ask you a question.
Okay.
How would you describe Kante's role, just the bare bones of it? Like, what was his function with Kante and at Leicester to an extent? Like, how would you Double H describe that?
Wait, so describe Kante at Leicester and under Kante.
Generally speaking, yes, that's my question.
For me, I would say that the guy was a cross between a DM and a box-to-box. So he was primarily a spoiler and interceptor, but once he intercepted the ball, he would then be able to bring the ball up to a point. Then Vardy, Mahrez would pretty much take over. Similar thing with Chelsea. Break up the play, be that protection up above the defense, bring the ball up to a certain point, set off a counter-attack, boom. All right, you guys keep the ball, attack, and do it, and then I'll then slot back into my position.
Okay.
So
I was just trying to understand, like, what exactly is Kante doing that's terribly different than what he was doing in the past, other than when Chelsea have the ball, he's a little bit more advanced.
That's a huge difference. You see, you can't just skim over that. That's if a guy is in the last third a lot more and he has possession of the ball a lot more in the last final third, that is a massive difference from where you literally offload the ball before you get to the last third and you leave the guys in the last third to deal with what, and you go back to your position.
But see, like you mentioned when you described what Kante did for Chelsea under Kante, is you said on the counterattack, or maybe that was in reference to Leicester, but tomato. Chelsea aren't a counter-attacking team necessarily this season. They're a more possession-based team. That's the style that Sarri's meant to. That's the style that Sarri is attempting to implement. where is Kante supposed to go if Chelsea have 60-70% of possession? Where's he supposed to go? He's just supposed to camp next to Jorginho, who's already in that space. Like,
no. And this, we see. But this is the dilemma. Because of Jorginho occupying that position, you can't have both of them there. There's no point in a possession-based team. But he's the best DM in the world, arguably. It's between him and Busquets are the best DM in the world. And let's just be real. Kante is very versatile and he's doing great in his secondary role. But let's just be real and honest. He does not feel naturally adept at really being very intricate with the ball in the final third as well.
But I think he's been other than Hazard, he's been Chelsea's best player this season.
Absolutely.
But that's an issue.
I don't know if Forward would agree to this. But I think he's our second best player. And there's an argument that he's number one.
But don't you see, therein lies the issue.
He's the club's best player and it's an issue? Or
No, wait, let me explain. The issue is that he's arguably the best player, second best player, playing his second, third best position.
That's incredible.
As good as he's been, he's not as good as when he was at the World Cup. You're like, nah, this guy is the don at this role. He understands this role better than anybody in the world. So he is arguably Chelsea's best player playing a position that is his second or third best.
Yeah, but see, I think the general premise of what Kante is doing isn't too dissimilar. Like he's a box-to-box man. Like people actually think that like if you go back and watch the footage from Kante at Chelsea or Kante at Leicester, at Chelsea under Kante, it's a lot of Kante's Chelsea.
It's very confusing.
But people think he was just like a static stay in front of the back four defender like Makalele was or something like that. Like, no, he was a box-to-box midfielder with Kante. He was a box-to-box midfielder with Ranieri. He's just kind of a seek and destroy, go get the ball, pass it to a player who's better with the ball than you. He's not doing too much dissimilar to that other than when Chelsea have the ball for 30 seconds, 40 seconds. All right, there's space next to or there's space where Hazard should be because he's vacated and playing the false nine. So I'll just go occupy that space and maybe that'll free up a fullback or it'll free up Willian or Pedro, wherever he chooses to go. Like, I don't think it's that much different, which is why he's been one of the two best players at Chelsea Football Club this season. But I'm talking too much, so I'll throw it to Forward.
Yeah, I think first of all, when we're talking about Kante, we're talking about a very intelligent player and a very selfless player. Now, I think defensively, what we've seen is I don't think we've seen anything that's regressed too much. Yes, he's maybe less in the action areas more often, which is why his numbers have been decreased. But he still has the second most turnovers in the offensive half than anybody else in the Premier League. So we're still getting the impact. We're still getting the important aspect of him being able to win the ball in the opponent half and then able to set up quick counterattacks. Now, maybe from the offensive third, yes, I think it's important to mention that he is, let's say, maybe 10 or 15 yards further up on the pitch than when we have the ball. So that's important to understand. And yes, he's not the most creative on the ball, but he's still very intelligent with his runs and that he makes, and he's still able to get into good positions and still get goals. And I think he's still our highest goal scoring midfielder in the Premier League. So the season, obviously, which again, that's saying N'Golo Kante.
That's not funny. It's not funny.
No. Oh, finish Forward, and I have another.
No,
point.
That laugh is very important because we should laugh at that. That's embarrassing in every aspect. Because look at that, our highest goal scoring midfielder is Kante, and that goes to show the problems with our team as a whole. Again, we're not very balancing the people who are getting us goals. Again, take out Hazard, he's really getting us goals on our forward line. Nobody. Again, we talked about Willian 2017.
I'm going to get to Hazard, but
My point was the problem with Chelsea's midfield isn't necessarily Jorginho and it isn't necessarily Kante. It's the third party. It's Kovacic, it's Barkley, and it's Ruben Loftus-Cheek being injured. That's the problem. The number 8 is the problem because there's no goals from that position, and that's the issue. Kante being the leading scorer, scoring goals against Crystal Palace, I believe it was. Like, that was a good takedown, good finish. Was it Luiz again who had that assist?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but like, it's the number 8 position is the problem because that's the player who's supposed to be making the runs into the box.
Yeah, that's the attacking midfielder who.
Obviously, it's cliche to say that they're supposed to be doing something akin to like Frank Lampard because his number 8 is Chelsea. It is what it is. But like, there's no player like that. Like Ross Barkley was billed as that. He's not that. Kovacic is good with link play, but if someone wanted to make if someone wanted to make a compilation like right now, Mateo Kovacic attempted volleys, I think he'd probably get like 50,000 views on Twitter. It would be hilarious viewing. Like Ruben Loftus-Cheek's injury is probably the most stressing thing or worrying thing about the season, like his back injuries. Because if he was fully fit, he would be able to take advantage of the space that Hazard creates, that Morata or Giroud would create. He's very good driving the ball forward. He has an eye for goal. He scored a hat trick already this season. Like, that player missing would accentuate what Kante does, what Jorginho does, and what the front three attempt to do. And that's the problem with Chelsea's midfield. Go ahead for it.
Again, just to add, that's where I'm very critical of how stubborn Sarri's been. I think we've seen in patches how good Ruben's been in the Europa League games and the cup games when he's featured, and I thought that's been the missing ingredient in our midfield. Again, we've got someone who's able to pass the ball, obviously, and keep safe possession of the ball in Jorginho. Obviously, got Kante's able to make those forward runs, but then we've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek who's able to have really good connections with Eden Hazard in the final third, able to run beyond the final man into the box that we have numbers in the box, and obviously he's a physical presence as well. So that's the person that we're missing.
Yeah, and if imagine you put Higuain there, who center backs are going to have to pay attention to, another player that you can link with. Like, the space on that side of the field should be open for somebody who's willing to take advantage of it. But Kovacic isn't that guy. Barkley, you would think should be, but he isn't. I'm talking in circles, but I just really think to highlight Ruben Loftus-Cheek's role in the team, and that number 8 is where people should be focusing their attention. Not Kante should play where Jorginho is, and David Luiz should be where Jorginho is. Like, nah, I just think that number 8 position, you solve that, a lot of the midfield problems go away.
Yeah. Okay, so let's come to Zad. I think we all have to, again, this is the year of being honest. 2019 is my New Year's resolution. Truth. That's my New Year's resolution. Hazard is far and away the best player in this team. Nobody is on his level. I feel like the 2 best players are him and Kante, but for 2 very different reasons. But as far as attacking-wise, flair-wise, offensive-wise, Hazard is on a different planet to everyone else in this team. And that is a problem. Because if people call Chelsea a one-man team, there's not that much you can say in response to that. And Hazard is having to take upon too much responsibility. Obviously, with Higuain coming in, hopefully that now means that he'll have less responsibility and can now move back to his best position. But let's just look at Hazard right now. And do you see him really staying at Chelsea beyond the summer? I'll go to forward. So do you see Hazard really committing to Chelsea, or do you think it's a foregone conclusion that he joins Real Madrid this summer or next year?
It's a tough question, and again, it's actually an easy question. It's tough for me to say it, but I think he's gonna go. Again, you look at it right now. I mean, how many players are obviously taking Hazard out of it? How many players of our forward line are in the top 20 best attacking players in the Premier League? I feel like none of them are. None of them are. Obviously, with Higuain coming in, maybe that might change things a little bit, but even still, it shows that players are not. Yeah, potentially. I mean, we have to look at it, but I mean, going back to obviously the point, if you look at who has us playing with, and obviously we've just gone and acquired Pulisic, that isn't really a level of player that really makes Hazard think, oh, I should stay to play with this guy. Go next season. That's the guy who's going to help me win the Champions League, because that should be the aim and the goal of somebody as good as Hazard. He's obviously had the World Cup that he had. I've obviously won every other honour there is to win in the game, other than the Champions League. So it's difficult. And again, I see no reason why he should stay, given what he's already accomplished at the club. He's almost taken us as far as he can go. And given how the club haven't really backed him and haven't really invested in terms of trying to get the best out of him as a product, as a player, as our club, it's disappointing. And again, for him, he should leave. And if he doesn't leave, then I'll be happy. But then I also question his mentality in terms of how high does he really want to get in the game? Where does he really want to go? Does he want to be known as one of the greatest of his era, or does he just want to be known as the guy who was content and happy at being a Chelsea legend? And as great as that is for me, looking at him individually as a player, I always respect him. I always love him for what he's done for my club. But I always think you could have been better. You could have been a better player. You could have done more. You could have made your legacy greater in the game. So
yeah. Also, before I give it to Danny T, I think that is what Hazard needs to realize, because I still hold firm that he's top 3, top 4 in the world, ability-wise.
Yeah, he is.
But you will never, ever get the appreciation you deserve if you remain at Chelsea. Because Chelsea, within where they are right now, will not be able to attract the kind of talent to surround you in order for you to really put yourself on that level. So you have to be at a PSG, a Bayern Munich, a Real Madrid, or a Barcelona, are surrounding yourself by top talent in order for you to now really put yourself in a position where now you don't have to really respect me. But I'll give it over to Danny T. Zad, what do you think happens?
I think just from a Chelsea perspective, I think the World Cup was probably the best thing that happened. Because if there wasn't a World Cup last year, and Hazard had all that time to not focus on Belgium, but just to focus on himself, you really think he stays with Chelsea in the Europa League? Probably not. Probably not. I agree with Forward to an extent that, like, as Chelsea fans should be happy if he stays. But if you just look at it from, if you were Eden Hazard's agent, or if you were him, kind of like what we did with Callum Hudson-Odoi, what should you do? You should go to Real Madrid, just because I think he's given Chelsea the best of his career, I think, so far. Obviously, we don't know what he would do in Spain, but I think suffice it to say, like, from probably 21, 22 to now 28, he's done all he can do, basically, especially given the managers he's had, given the players he's playing with. That point has been made. There's just something in me, though, that tells me he's probably going to sign a contract and stay.
Wow. Okay. So what tells you that?
I don't know. It's just like, if you see him on social media, he's all like, Chelsea forever, Chelsea this, Chelsea that. Like,
oh, come on, man. That means nothing, man. Like, really, you're buying that?
Do you know what? And I actually think he likes the club. I think.
Oh no, he does. He does.
If he wasn't a Chelsea fan, if he wasn't a fan of like Didier Drogba and those guys, I don't know if he stays this long, but I think he genuinely loves Chelsea Football Club. So that might be a kind of like a sticking point for him, that he doesn't want to move. Maybe he doesn't want to go to London, or who knows what his wife and what his children want. But it's one of the things where, if you question his mentality, that's something I've always questioned about Eden Hazard. And he's kind of answered that in the past 12 to 14 months. Is I've always just wanted him to be a little bit more greedy, like having the mentality of, I don't want you to be Ronaldo necessarily. I don't want you to be someone like Lewandowski necessarily. But just someone, don't be you don't have to be over the top with it, but just be a little bit more aggressive. Just shoot a little bit more. It's like, don't always make the right footballing decision. Just be a little bit more cavalier, a little bit more, I don't know, just pirate-like in that way. Just do what you want.
No. But I think that's why the World Cup was a turning point for me.
Exactly.
No, because people get on me, but that's, oh man, you never we're preaching about Hazard before.
Sanchez is better than Hazard,
and then he was like Sumi. At a point, Sanchez was better than Hazard, and I raised my hand. But Sanchez right now is a Class B, Class A break. I need to check the listings. But Hazard at that World Cup, for me, I look at that World Cup semi-final where he was on the losing team. And I look at how many French players were on him constantly to try and stop him. And I was like, nah. He's turned a point. This is a different Hazard. The Hazard from years before was, as you say, try to always make the right decision, try to always be very selfless, try and defer. I said, no, look, man, you're being a wimp. But in that World Cup, you were given the captain's armband. You were made the leader of the team. The team built through you and looked to you for inspiration. Boom. So I think like the fact of the matter is that Chelsea, like I can actually see where you're coming from, because as much as I think that was a turning point at the World Cup, I think that when I just look at Hazard and his social media and everything, I don't think he actually really cares about being considered one of the best in the world. It's like someone like a Griezmann, he's obsessed with, no, I want to be mentioned amongst Messi and all these guys. I'm like, okay, thank you, bro. Just don't do blackface. But the thing with Hazard is that I don't think he really wants to really be considered amongst the best. I just think that he just wants to enjoy himself, be happy, be in a place where he's appreciated, and that's fine by him. So, because again, for me, it's like, how hard did he really push to go to Real Madrid? Did he really want to go to Real Madrid? Did he really put himself in a position to join Real Madrid? I don't really know. And is it a case where he'd be afraid of the spotlight?
If he really wanted Real Madrid, he would have had that in the past 24 months. Like, Diego Costa really wanted Atletico Madrid. You know what he did? He just didn't show up. And the club sold him because they didn't have a choice. Like, if Hazard really wanted to force his way to Real Madrid, he could have. Yeah, he could have. But he's just a nice person, I think, at heart. And I think that translates to his loyalty to Chelsea and the fact that he hasn't left. And even if he does leave, the way he's leaving isn't in some malicious, malevolent way. It's just it's kind of just nature in a way. Like you've done all you can, so it's kind of maybe time to move on. But if you stay, as forward says, like that'd be dope.
So just to round off, so Chelsea in the hunt for top 4, United hot behind the heels, still in the FA Cup, still in the Europa League, obviously still in the Carabao Cup. So come May, how many trophies do you realistically feel that Chelsea have in the cabinet?
0.
Oh, snap. Forward? Is it cobwebs this season? Cobwebs?
I think we're gonna do a quadruple.
Okay.
I'm
Wait. No. So first of all, were you cracking a joke? So let's just clear that off first. Or were you making a joke?
Yes, it was a joke.
Good, thank you. Now forward. Ha. Okay. Now,
look.
Speak.
Okay. So the way I see it, I think we're gonna get top 4, which in itself is a bit of a trophy. I think.
No. Chill.
Bro,
we are not Arsenal. We are not Tottenham, bro.
Forward. I just gave you and you just messed up yet again. I don't ever want to hear you say top 4 is a trophy ever again. I'm begging you, please.
Now listen carefully to my words. I didn't say it was a trophy, but I said it is like, because you know why? I say if you give me the option of an FA Cup or a top 4, I'm taking top 4. So in that case, I think top 4 is more important. And I see it as not an accomplishment, but something that we need to go and strive on. We need to go and get. In terms of actual trophy.
No. Fair, no, 100%. But top 4 is not a trophy. Just like you may want top 4 over FA Cup. Top 4 is still not a trophy. You've still not won anything by coming top 4. That's not an achievement that you can actually touch physically. So
no, of course not. But imagine we're on the board. That's one of the achievements. That's one of the objectives that I want Sarri as a manager to go and accomplish.
It's an objective, not a trophy.
100%, I agree with that completely. In terms of actual trophies, things that are of substance, I think I'm probably going to say 1, and I'll probably say the Europa League. Again, the FA Cup's hard to predict. The League Cup, again, just beating Tottenham, I'll be satisfied with that, just because I just freaking hate Tottenham. I can't see them winning the trophy. And obviously, City in the final will be very tough to beat, because again, I think better than 9-0 down. So I mean, I don't know if they have any chance of getting through. So yeah.
You think?
I mean, match fixing. Okay, look. Chelsea. I think if we can win the Europa League and get top 4, I think that will represent a good season. And if we can pick up one of the other domestic cups, I think that would also be a great addition to obviously Sarri's cabinet, because again, he's not won anything yet. So I think we'll be happy to try and just step ahead a little bit and win something else.
Do you know what? Okay. I think Chelsea might have a chance in the Europa League, because I went back and I looked at like the 3rd place teams that dropped from the Champions League. It's Valencia, Victoria Pilsen, Shakhtar, Benfica, Galatasaray. Napoli's a bit tough. Inter's a bit tough, and then Club Brugge. And then I think the other hardest team that's in there is maybe Arsenal.
Yeah. So why were you so dismissive of
Milan? So, say it again.
So why are you so dismissive of our chances of winning the Europa League? You seem very reluctant to say that we could win it.
I just revised it, but if you know anything about me, I never say Chelsea will win anything, because I'm like a huge jig. So I just reverse psychology the whole thing. So
can you predict France to win the World Cup?
I did, but I predict France to win every international tournament. So Do you know how they say you should always play the same lottery numbers? Like you should never change your lottery numbers. You always keep the same lottery number. That way, it's like a higher percentage that those are the numbers. That's what I do with France in international tournaments.
I get that.
Interesting. So are you going with the Europa League then, like for the same?
Yeah. I will say tentatively that Chelsea could win the Europa League. That seems like a realistic possibility.
We don't do good or possibles here. Forward is locked in saying
okay. Oh yes. This is your platform. I apologize. Chelsea will win the Europa League, and
so they'll win the Europa League.
Do you know what? I think because of the Harry Kane injury, and he's going to be out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, probably
a month.
I think Chelsea can turn around the League Cup result and get into the final. As Forward points out, beating Man City isn't a given, so I don't know about that one. I don't think anybody could know. So yeah, but top 4, as you say, United are on everyone's heels at this point. I think Tottenham could drop out and Chelsea become the 3rd team, and United become the 4th team, and Arsenal and Tottenham are in 5th and 6th. So I think Chelsea get top 4. I think they win the Europa League, and if they can defend the FA Cup, great. If they get to the final of the League Cup, great. But I'm not confident that they win either.
All right, guys. It has been swell. It has been beautiful.
Oh, no. What? We're going to leave on that downer?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was the last point.
Yeah. That's it. No, look, man. This is called reality, man. Whether it's an upper or a downer, I could give it down.
No. Wait. Did you guys see? Obviously, I'm taking over Half Hope's channel.
No. Go ahead, man. No, it's a free for all, man. Go for it.
Did you guys see Mourinho on beIN Sport when he talked about
he's too young to retire?
No, signing Didier Drogba, where he was like, Abramovich was like, who? And he said, please just pay the money and don't speak.
Whoa, is that what he said?
He told Roman Abramovich, please, Mr. Abramovich, pay and don't speak. What kind of dude is this? The real me slipped out. I'm sorry.
No. But the thing about it is that is what makes Mourinho.
I love Jose Mourinho, man. I'm so happy he's not Manchester United manager anymore because I can enjoy these comments.
The thing about this is that it's very easy to hate on Mourinho, throw everything about him, and the Chelsea fans that were sort of like hating on him because he's like you're thick in the head because how he transformed Chelsea. This is why I was such a hardcore Chelsea to do, was like when he just came and redefined how you viewed a manager. He made a manager box office. He made the manager much more cooler and much more impressive than the damn players. So I just think and Drogba, which we cannot say is one of the most clutch players of all time, for him to zero in and find that player, and as you said, tell Abramovich that now, forget about it, bring him in. He didn't start well, so it looked like if he was going to be a flop to begin with, kept faith in him, and turned out to be one of the most clutch strikers in history. Got to give Uncle Mo his credit for that, man. So yeah, so that's an upwards note.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, imagine having the balls to tell Roman Abramovich, just don't speak and pay the money. I just think that's dope.
I mean, look, man. I wouldn't do it, man. Look, he's Russian.
He's Russian.
All right, well, okay, guys, man. Thank you very much for joining me on this thing, and hopefully this can be an ongoing series that we can do. We'll just see how people react to it in the comments below. But yeah, man, thank you, Ford. Thank you, Dennis. Yeah, I'll put your handles in the description box below for guys to click in and follow y'all on Twitter. It's been swell.
Put Talking Tactics in the description, bro. Don't put me.
Okay, look, yeah, cool. I'll put Talking Tactics. Look at this guy plugging the damn thing on this thing. All right, guys, peace out, stay true, and stay black, man.